Let me introduce our positivism influencer and the host of the Silver Linings segment, Stephene Klein. How are you, Stephene?
I'm doing amazing, Blanca. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here with you and your audience today on True Oldies. It's always a pleasure. I'm ready to get to it.
Let's do it. What is your law of silver lining this week?
My law of silver linings this week is the power of expecting positive outcomes.
What does that mean? I mean, I certainly love it because we all want good news, and all our True Oldies listeners and everybody watching here on the Laws of Life, we all need good news with this pandemic and gosh, just all this negative energy floating. So what's your advice on how to actually accomplish this goal?
Blanca, as we've gone through the weeks, really discussing silver linings and being a positivity influencer and what that means, I really went within to analyze how I move very smoothly through obstacles and challenges, and what I could bring to your audience that would really help them that I haven't brought before. So today, that message is all about realizing one of the things that I do that I truly feel would help so many people out there, thousands and thousands of people, is I actually expect great things to happen to me. I expect good things to come to me. And even if I run into a hiccup, a challenge, an obstacle, anything, the minute it happens, I actually expect that not only is it going to be resolved, but that situation is going to be resolved in my favor.
And having that type of mindset, can you give us some examples of how it has changed your life?
Yes. For example, I'll just give you one quick story. Just recently, this morning, I was at the bank taking care of an issue that happened. So Blanca, back in July, I sent 6 checks to the cashier's checks, no less, to the Department of Revenue to pay some business taxes. So in July, I sent these checks, and I kept checking to see if they had been applied to these accounts. Well, I got news that they were running behind because of COVID, that they were short-staffed, all of these things, so that I would have to wait, and it could take up to 6 to 8 weeks to 9 weeks to 12 weeks, whatever it was going to take. So I thought, oh, okay, well, it's just going to take longer. Well, so long story short, I was diligent in checking back in every other week. How's it going? Have you processed it? Where are we at? And last week or the week before, I called and they said, you know what? We're just going to have to tell you that we're so sorry. We actually did clear 3 of your checks, but we lost the other 3. I said, oh, okay.
That's crazy.
That's interesting. So you have in your system that you received them into your department, but yet, even though they're in your department, you've lost them. So they're somewhere lost in your building. Yes, ma'am, that's basically what we're telling you. Oh, okay. And I go, so I guess I will just go to the bank and stop those checks. Okay, yes, you're going to have to do that. Okay, you can pay with electronic form. It's not going to be a problem. I'll send you the link, whatever. I said, okay. So long story short, I go to the bank. Last week, I tried to appropriately stop payment on these cashier's checks and basically say, they lost them and all these things, and now we have to do something different. Then I go to the bank, I find out that I cannot just blatantly stop these 3 checks because it hasn't been over 90 days. Well, I could, but if I did, I would incur an additional $25 fee per check because of the bond, which is something I didn't really realize. Cashier's checks are bonded by a third party in this particular case. And so I had to wait till 90 days. So they had to be lost for 90 days and not cashed in order to then cancel them and avoid these $25 fees. So I said, well, of course, I'm going to save the $50. I'll just come back in 3 days when it's 91 days. And then I will then proceed with these actions. So I get back to the bank this morning, and it's taking a really long time. Something that I thought was going to take 45 minutes, it takes 90 minutes. And literally, Blanca, then it turns out that not only did I avoid the $50 or $75 that it was going to be for the surety bonds on these cashier's checks, I then was going to incur a $31 fee per cashier's check for the stop payment. Okay, so I looked at the gentleman and I said, so you're telling me that these lost checks are now going to cost me $93 in fees? And he goes, yes, ma'am, that's our policy. And so I just said, and obviously you're going to do everything you can to get these fees credited back to my account, right? Meaning I was expecting that I would not pay these fees.
Wow.
And that's exactly what happened. I was guaranteed that because of my account standing, because these checks were lost that were due to no fault of my own, that if they would absolutely graciously not charge me the $93 in fees.
And because of that mindset, you think that's why that was the outcome?
I do, because I was really nice. I stayed calm. I didn't react. I didn't tell him not paying these fees or anything like this. I wasn't ugly.
How about in love? How does this apply to a romantic context?
Okay, to a romantic context, I've used this also. I think of whatever I want to happen, and then I expect that it will happen. And most of the time, it will happen within a very short period of time of me actually thinking of it. I could think of 2 instances with my husband that I did the same thing. One actually occurred within 12 hours of me thinking of it, and then I was blown away. One actually happened within like 2 hours of me thinking it.
Do you believe in the power of affirmations, that it's necessary to articulate the expectation of good news?
I absolutely believe in positively affirming through affirmations what you're expecting.
Does it need to be verbal, or is reading the affirmation sufficient?
That is a matter of perspective. However, I will answer the question by saying, if we go back to Nikola Tesla's 369 power theory, then using energy and vibration, I would tell you that obviously reading something is one layer of energy. Saying it out loud, verbalizing it, there is a power and a vibration and a frequency coming off of what you're saying. That is another layer. And additionally, another layer is actually writing it. So from my perspective, Blanca, and for what works best for me, I would absolutely say you will receive more power and more energy and more light by the more you actually integrate what it is you're thinking into energetically your writing or your speaking.
That's powerful. How did you learn about this theory of affirmation?
Well, in regard to positive affirmations, I've actually used several different sources all along the way. I remember that I was initially introduced to it back in, I think it was 2007, 2008, through Oprah Winfrey and Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now. However, over the course of my journey, I've actually Coach Rochelle Swartz, who have on your show, is a big firm believer in positive affirmations. She obviously has helped me along my journey. I highly recommend her. And then there's lots of great positive influencers on YouTube that are also have been hugely impactful in my life as far as really grabbing a hold of affirmations that help in very particular situations.
How can someone connect with you to learn more about the laws of silver linings?
Through stepheneklein.com at 561-609-2447, 561-609-2447.
So, as our positivism influencer in the True Oldies community and in the Laws of Life network, what's your number one law of silver linings tonight?
For tonight, expect great outcomes. Expect great positive outcomes. And keep saying it. I expect positive outcomes. I expect great, abundant, positive outcomes to flow effortlessly and easily into my life.
So everybody out there listening, our True Oldies listeners, our Laws of Life network, let's follow this law. Let's all have good news, good success, good health. Thanks for being a part of the Silver Lining segment, Stephanie, and thanks everybody for listening. Let's jump into the next segment.